Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we're going to challenge something, well, something pretty fundamental.
It's one of the biggest assumptions we make about ourselves, isn't it?
It really is. The idea that we are the conscious owners, the managers of our own
The
bodies.
ultimate illusion. We think our consciousness, that I that's thinking, is sort of floating above it all, operating the controls. We're taught to see the body as this fleshy vehicle we just happen to inhabit.
Exactly. But that clean division just breaks down the second you actually pay attention. I mean, think about it. You're wrestling with some complex problem, totally convinced your mind is crystal clear.
Right.
But your jaw is clenched like a vice. Your shoulders are hiked up to your ears, like what our sources call stone sentinels. They're guarding something you won't even admit to yourself.
And that gap, that disparity, that's the crack in the whole ghost in the machine idea.
Yeah.
It forces you to see that the body isn't just a passive vessel. It's an active, ongoing field of intelligence.
An intelligence that's actually shaping what you perceive and how you feel.
And who you believe you are, fundamentally.
Which is where this gets really radical. We assume the mind dictates and the body follows. But what we're exploring today is the idea that the body, that it often precedes the mind.
It initiates the whole field of perception. That is the core, profound shift.
So it's not, I feel afraid, so my heart starts beating.
Think about waking up from a nightmare, that visceral jolt. Your heart is already hammering, you're sweating, your breath is shallow, and all of this happens before your conscious brain has even figured out what the dream was about.
Right, before you can even form the thought, I'm in danger.
Exactly. Before the reasoning mind even gets there, the body has already performed this incredibly complex act of perception.
But how can it know something is a threat without the mind? Isn't that just a reflex?
It's so much more than a reflex.
Yeah.
Your somatic field has already drawn the figure of threat from the formless background to sleep. It thrusts that feeling into your awareness. The body is always making meaning, long before our language catches up.
So, if the body is speaking this whole other language, and we're just hearing it as static, then our mission today seems pretty clear.
We have to learn the grammar.
We have to learn the grammar. Let's start with something we all experience. Pain. When pain shows up, we're so fast to diagnose it mechanically. Chronic lower back pain, for instance, we immediately jump to misaligned spine or weak core.
A simple flaw that needs a simple fix.
Right, we treat it like a faulty part.
And that diagnosis, sometimes it's part of the picture, but it misses the vast intelligence in the pain itself. The Gestalt way of seeing it is that pain isn't just a symptom. It's a figure emerging from the ground of your entire lived experience.
What does that mean exactly, that the pain is psychological?
It's not just in your head, it's structural. The body speaks in structural code. If you've spent your life carrying unspoken burdens, that pain might literally be the physical residue of that strain. The somatic echo of a life bent under expectations you never really agreed to.
And what modern life teaches us is to just override that, to silence it.
Treat it like a disobedient child, Russ.
Totally. We use caffeine to push through fatigue. We scroll on our phones to numb anxiety. We distract ourselves from hunger.
We demand compliance, usually for the sake of productivity. We have a deadline, so we ignore the ache, we push through. But we're not just ignoring a feeling. We're actively cutting ourselves off from real-time intelligence.
But hold on, if I have to hit that deadline, isn't using caffeine just necessary? Is the body always losing that battle?
Well, that's the tension, isn't it? We prioritize the mental figure, the deadline, over the bodily ground of our own sustainability. And here's a really startling thought from the research. Most of what we call thinking is actually the body whispering in code.
The body whispering in code. Can you unpack that a little?
Absolutely. Just look at the enteric nervous system. It's called the second brain. For a reason. There are over 100 million neurons in your gut.
It's not just for digestion.
Not at all. It's processing immense amounts of relational and emotional data. That gut feeling you have, that's neurological reality, not some vague intuition. And we know that your posture literally shapes your confidence. If you sit hunched over thinking anxious thoughts, your body structure reinforces that anxiety.
So that afternoon slump I feel at my desk, it might not just be laziness.
It could be your entire system signaling that the task has no meaning,
Right.
or that you're just completely overwhelmed and need to reset. The body is this interwoven network of signals, constantly sculpting your reality.
Okay, so this leads us directly to that foundational Gestalt concept, right? Figure and ground.
Yes, the classic optical illusion.
The vase, that's also two faces. What you see depends entirely on what you choose to bring forward as the figure of attention.
And that's happening inside you every single millisecond.
Yeah.
Your perceptual system is constantly choosing. The figure might be the urgent email you have to write.
Or an argument you're replaying in your head.
Right. And everything else, your breath, the tightness in your chest, the way you're sitting, all of that just recedes into the background hum.
And the modern problem, as the research shows, is that we've basically shoved the entire body into what you could call permanent ground.
We only notice it when it screams.
When the tension becomes a migraine, or the exhaustion makes us collapse.
And that's selective inattention. It's a form of self-erasure. We become these floating thoughts, these figures without ground. And that creates this immense instability.
Which flies right in the face of that Gestalt principle of pregnance, the drive for wholeness, for good form. If we're ignoring half the field, the system has to compensate somehow.
The field absolutely fragments. And because the system must have a way to complete itself, it compensates through really restrictive patterns, things like chronic tension or numbness.
So you train yourself not to feel the tension in your shoulders for years because you think you have to keep working.
But that energy doesn't vanish. It just sinks deeper into the background, building up like sediment until it distorts the whole landscape. When the ground is that heavy, any figure that emerges from it, your mood, your decisions, is already compromised from the start.
This brings us to another powerful idea: incompleteness, or lack of closure. These unfinished experiences, grief we never processed, a boundary we didn't hold, they don't just go away, they linger.
They linger, demanding resolution. And if the conscious mind keeps pushing them down, the body takes up the task of holding that unexpressed shape.
So a clenched jaw
is the frozen echo of a scream you swallowed. A stiff neck could be the physical mirror of a rigid belief you refuse to question.
Or that hollow feeling in your chest, the weight of love you felt you couldn't receive. This is way beyond metaphor, which gets us to isomorphism.
Yes, isomorphism.
Yeah.
It's probably the most critical piece of this. It's the idea that your psychological processes and your physiological patterns share the exact same structural form.
It's the same shape.
The very same shape. The structure of the suppressed emotion, say the refusal to move forward, is mirrored perfectly by the muscle armor in your back.
So the body isn't just representing your inner world.
It's enacting it in real time. If you consistently avoid confrontation, your muscles will literally armor up, creating a permanent rigidity against a world you perceive as dangerous. The meaning is right there, visible in the physical organization of the moment.
Which is a real challenge to you, the listener. Notice where your own attention is biased right now. Are you scrolling on your phone while ignoring the tension building in your spine?
Attention is the sculptor of reality. It's how figure emerges from ground. If we constantly train it to bypass the body, we are actively sculpting a fragmented self.
But the good news is the body never stops trying to restore that wholeness. It's always interrupting our patterns.
Those are moments of somatic insight. They're profound revelations.
Like a sudden, deep yawn in the middle of a meeting.
That yawn isn't just you being tired. It might be your body's way of interrupting a conversation that has become inauthentic, or one that's creating a conflict you aren't voicing.
Or that wave of nausea you get right before you send an email you know is a compromise.
That's your visceral boundary screaming no when your mind has already said yes. These aren't glitches. They are the body offering you a Gestalt insight, a sudden reordering of your whole perception. The tightness in your chest isn't just anxiety. It's the figure of vulnerability trying to be seen.
And this all relates to the idea of contact, right? The boundary where self meets world.
Exactly. Healthy contact means you sense a need, you respond, and you integrate. But when that process gets blocked by fear, by old trauma, by habit, the energy that should flow outward to meet the world gets turned inward.
And that's when the body starts speaking in riddles. Fatigue with no lack of sleep, pain with no injury.
Precisely. The energy is locked inside, creating internal friction. And with trauma, it's crucial to understand. The body doesn't just store it like data on a hard drive. It reenacts it through rigid patterns. It learned that speaking out is dangerous, so now it reinforces that old lesson through collapse or illness.
So the invitation isn't to analyze it to death.
The invitation is just to be present, to turn your attention inward with curiosity. Not to fix anything, but simply to witness. When you do that, you allow the body to complete the natural movement it began all that time ago.
Which brings us to the philosophical peak here, the paradox of ownership. If the body is this intelligent, ever-changing field, then who is this I that claims to own it?
The self isn't a fixed thing, an owner. It's a process. It's a rhythm of need, contact, satisfaction, and withdrawal. The moment a sensation becomes a figure, that tension, that joy, a temporary you is born to attend to it.
But that you is just a temporary knot of attention.
That mistakenly thinks it's the whole thing.
Which is actually incredibly liberating. It means we're not supposed to be managing the body, we're invited to participate in it.
Yes. Think of a river. We spend our lives trying to dam it and control it, thinking that's how we achieve clarity. But if we stop fighting, we realize we aren't standing on the bank. We are the river. The current is our blood. The banks are our bones.
And wholeness isn't something we have to build, we just have to stop interrupting it.
Exactly.
And this is why changing our language is so important. Instead of saying, my shoulders are tense,
try saying, tension is organizing itself in the shoulder region of the field.
that feels so strange and clinical at first.
It does, but it's fundamentally important. It removes the false subject that I, who claims ownership and feels responsible for fixing it. It just returns your focus to the raw phenomenon itself. The moment you stop treating your body like a project to be optimized, it starts to find its own equilibrium.
It doesn't need your permission, it just needs your presence.
So the whole journey we've explored today is this shift from being the thinker, the owner, the commander, to simply becoming fluent in the body's native language, which is sensation.
And as you carry this forward, let your body be the guide. The next time your wrist aches from typing, ask the field. What am I reaching for that I'm not letting myself grasp?
When your stomach knots up before a call, you can wonder, what truth am I swallowing right now that really needs to be spoken?
And when your eyes get blurry from looking at a screen, challenge yourself. What am I refusing to see in the world or maybe in myself?
Because the body is not sending you messages from somewhere else. It is the message. It is meaning itself in motion. So we'll leave you with this to carry with you. The moment you recognize the intelligence of this unowned body, who are you when the body finally speaks and there is no fixed you left to listen?
You were never separate from it. You were always the conversation itself.